Hi everyone, I hope you're all good and doing well. So we are in Scorpio season. So I'm just going to go through in this video just some things that we've been seeing, what we're going to be going through, and just some things to look out for moving ahead as well over these next few months. So Scorpio season, this is a time of transformation. If you're going to do some inner work and self-healing, this is a time to do it. This is what the sun in Scorpio wants you to do, to look within, look at the shadow side of you, right? But it's not easy. And if we are coming from a place with high anxiety, and we already feel that our stability is a bit shooken up, then this can be a hard month, because it's very hard to see certain aspects of ourselves that maybe we've been hiding from a lot of the time, or even about other people, right? And with Pluto, it's kind of like the child running under the blanket and hiding and feeling as though they're safe, right? Because they can't now see what's behind the blanket. But the thing is you can clearly see that someone's under a blanket, right? You can see the big lump that's there. It's a bit hard to ignore. But nevertheless, we still hide under the blanket because we want to go into denial that if we can't see what's there, then it's not there. And Pluto's saying, hey, I see you under the blanket. You're not getting away that easily. And at some point, I'm going to make it so uncomfortable for you, because you're going to need to come out from under the blanket. You're going to need to eat. You're going to need to drink. You're going to get uncomfortable. Your body's going to start to ache. And there's also going to be the curiosity to also at one point see what is behind the blanket, even if it's just a peep. Right, so no matter how much we try to hide and deny what it is that maybe we're not seeing, at some point we are going to have to face it head on. And now things have been even more intense, and we're getting that feeling of really needing to look deep and to see things for what they are, because of all the other aspects that we've had going on. We've had the Mars-Pluto opposition, which was happening at the time of the new moon in Scorpio just recently. And that was with Pluto being in the erratic degree, the last degree of Capricorn at 29 degrees, and Mars being in Cancer. And so an opposition is a very challenging aspect, because it's like, imagine two people having a tug of war. But the tug of war is within you. Okay, so if we think of Pluto is the god of the underworld, or spiritual warrior, shall I say. And Mars is the god of war, but it's more the physical warrior, in the physical. So Mars is very much about our drive and taking action, very much in the physical. And Pluto is more about spiritual, emotional, psychological aspect of ourselves. And so there's this tug of war that's going on. And the thing is with a tug of war is that no one ever truly wins or nothing. If you're picking one or the other, you never really get that resolution, because with a tug of war, you have to put all your energy and fight into winning, at the expense of even hurting yourself. Because if you've ever done a tug of war, it takes a lot of strength, and your hands start hurting, your back might start aching, and you're putting everything you've got into it. But really what oppositions are about is about finding the middle ground. It's how do we see things from a different perspective, where we can now acknowledge what both sides are trying to tell us, and integrate it and be open to it and find that middle ground of resolution. So you could be asking yourself, where does my physical world and the things I do, the things I put energy into, is it in alignment with how I feel spiritually, emotionally, what I need and want, and who I am, and what I know my truth to be? And so wherever there is some kind of anxiety or there's some kind of tension or resistance, that's a sign that's showing you that somewhere there is this opposition, this fight to not maybe see something. And often that is deeply rooted in needing to feel safe, right? Because that's why we hide under the blanket. We hide under the blanket because we want to ultimately feel safe. Something to keep in mind with the opposition as well is and moving forward, which I'm going to go into other things that are going to all tie into this, is where do we need a new perspective? And when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change, right? And it's like those, have you seen those drawings where it asks you, like, what do you see? And some people will say, oh, I see, a face. And other people say, oh, I see a vase, right? And it's amazing how two people could be looking at the same picture but see something different. And you're so certain, no, it's a face, right? And this person's so certain, no, that's a vase, okay? But the moment someone starts to outline what it is that they're seeing, and you're like, oh yeah, I see the vase now. So whenever there's this, this fight and this need to kind of prove something and to be right, again, Mars has now moved into Leo, okay? So this is something else to watch for, ego and, having to be right. When you're in that place and you're trying to prove something, or you're really adamant this is the way it has to be, think of that picture. Think of how blind you can be in that moment, that you have only seen, one side of it, one perspective of it. And that if someone else is seeing something else, even if you can't, isn't that just as valid and valuable? And so, like I said, when we change the way we look at something, then what we look at changes. Right? Now, what we also have is we have Saturn. Okay, Saturn turning direct on the 15th of November on the 12th degree of Pisces. Now, this is huge for me, which is why it's taken me probably about 5 attempts to do this video. I have my ascendant at 12 degree Pisces, but that's not all. I also have my sun at 12 degree Pisces. So Saturn is literally breathing down my neck right now. And it's not been fun. But there's been a lot of pros and positives to it. But I have to say that since it's been retrograde, the energy has changed. And my experience anyway has been, yes, at the beginning, when it went into Pisces, and it has helped me kind of structure and set my goals and do the things that I wanted to do and be a bit more, proactive and serious about them. But since Saturn has been retrograde, this would have been at the end of June. So the last couple of months I have felt, my sort of energy kind of just a little bit, less motivated, less proactive. And when I'm doing something, I feel like sometimes it has to take me 3 times or 5 attempts rather than normally it would take me just 1. And so, yeah, there's been quite a bit of frustration, but nevertheless, there's always something to learn from that. And one thing that a lot of us I know struggle with is time, okay? And we're always asking for more time. Now, Saturn is the lord of time. He rules time. And just to let you know as well, when a planet is retrograde, it's closer to the Earth. And so we feel the energy that much more intense. And so when a planet's retrograde, we feel that more. And it's also a time to go back and revise. What have we missed? What did we not see before? How can we improve things moving forward? Which is when it will then move direct, which we've got going on next week. Okay, so this is an important pivotal point to watch out for. Giving you my experience, it's just to, I find it's always interesting when someone's got a very strong transit, because that's how we learn, when we're actually going through it, right? And what it feels like to be in it and experience it. And I know for me, it does feel like it's been a lot harder and harder to do the things I want to do. But when I was talking about time, and that's something that we all struggle with, a lot of us want more time. And I know that I was saying, I need more time. I need more time to do the things that I want to do. And funny enough, Saturn has given me more time in this retrograde. But the thing is what I've realized is that even though I've been freed up more time to do things, I've actually done less. Okay, not proud of it, but this is what I've noticed, that it's not really about having more time. It's about the way I'm structuring time. It's about valuing time. It's about understanding what I'm prioritizing, what I'm putting my energy into, and what I'm not. And why would I put my energy into things that maybe are not as important as other things that I'm not putting the energy into? Why is that? And these are interesting questions. If you experience anything like this, and you struggle with procrastination and time, or wanting more, or not having enough. And so it has made me realize that the structure and the way I'm looking at time, valuing time, is really has been a really important thing for me to focus on. And even though before, when Saturn was direct and moving forward, I was much more proactive, there were still struggles for me to fit things in that I wanted to do. And so I'm starting to see now, and I'm going over things, and what things I need, I don't need, I want to keep putting energy into, and what I don't, and got moving forward from there. And so this is where, when Saturn turns direct on the 15th, what have you been doing the last few months since end of June? What have you understood about the way you are managing time, the energy you're putting into the things that you're doing? Because what we put energy into is what grows. When Saturn moves direct, this is around the time that we're also having the full moon in Taurus, and Taurus is about what we value. What do we value? What are we putting energy into? What are we prioritizing? What do we need to let go of in order to welcome in what's going to feel more emotionally fulfilling? But with this full moon, we also have Uranus conjunct with it. And this is going to shake it up. This is going to this can be many things. This can be truth coming out. So this can be something that you witness. This can be in your own life. This can be a revelation, many aha moments. You're seeing something differently. That's what Uranus is. It's divine wisdom, right? So it works very quickly. It works very suddenly. It's innovative, it's futuristic, it wants to grow you in that way. And so whatever you may need to see at this time to push you into seeing, taking that blanket off and stop having that tug of war and find some middle ground, Uranus may play a part in this. Be aware that there can be some really sudden shifts. Depending on your perspective, of course, depends on how you want to look at it. Okay, so something could come up that really helps you, an opportunity that can help propel you forward in a way that, towards something that you really want. But is there something stopping you? What's happening here? Is this now going to be too much of a good opportunity to miss? And now you're going to have to face closing the door on something. So these are just things to consider. And you can look at your Taurus house, or where this full moon is going to be happening for you. And that may just give you a bit more of the flavor of the things that could be happening there. Now we also have Pluto that will be ingressing, so moving into the sign of Aquarius on the 19th of November. And this is huge as well, because this is now a shift. Okay, so what are you wrapping up in your Capricorn house? This is the last time now it's going to be in Capricorn, and it's going to now reside in Aquarius for the next 20 years or so. So what are you wrapping up? What's your Capricorn house? What are you saying, goodbye to, and what are you welcoming in? How different does your life look now, and who you are, where you are, compared to when Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008? What has this cycle been about for you? And is there any last shifts that you maybe need to make? And Saturn now moving forward as well is going to help you. And we are going to have a few more retrogrades coming up. We already have Mercury in shadow. So Mercury is going to be going retrograde on the 25th of November in December, but we're in shadow because the shadow starts a couple of weeks before and a couple of weeks after. So Mercury retrograde is going to be going on for us all through December, and we will be coming out of the shadow at the beginning of January. But I'm going to do another video on the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, because that's going to be going on for a while. But we also have Mars as well, going retrograde too in December. This is a time that we can get very, very focused on something that we feel really passionate about, that we feel really driven for, if it's something that we have already thought about and considered, and now we get this kind of raise of focus where we want to do it. So that's the great thing, because remember, when a retrograde planet is nearer, we feel that energy more, so we're going to feel that need to really get things done. But at the same time, we can maybe become a bit too confident or forthright or ambitious, and there's going to be a need, maybe, especially if it's something new that you're thinking about. I would say just put all the ideas down, make plans, and get motivated for it. But I would say just hold back on taking action on anything that hasn't been thought of too long or not very thought out, because also we're going to be having the Mercury retrograde coinciding with that. So it's about a time of revising, revisiting, but the Saturn going direct will help us maybe structure and schedule and really think deeply and take what we're thinking about seriously, hopefully. So but going back now to Saturn. So Saturn, also known as Shani, there's a legend, and the legend is that there was a demon king called Raven, and he had a son that was about to be born. And so what he done is he demanded and told all the planets to position themselves in certain houses, so that when his son was born, his son would have this magnificent chart that was going to make him invincible. And so he told Saturn, Shani, to position himself in the 11th house. And it's the luckiest house for Shani to be in. So Saturn, Shani, being in the 11th house, he didn't agree with this. He didn't agree with this because Saturn is also about death. It's your mortality, it rules time. And so just as the son was being born, Shani put his leg into the 12th house and stepped over. And so Demon King Raven was absolutely fuming and decided to cut his leg off. And so this is where Saturn gets his connection with being slow and sort of limping through the chart, because he's limping on one leg. So hence, slow moving planet, as he's, the Lord of time. So when we do what we have to do, and we show dedication and we show accountability and responsibility, and we accept our mortality, then we are rewarded with everything that life can give us, everything that we can experience. So we can often think with Saturn as being very restrictive and puts roadblocks there, takes things away from us. And, you know, a lot of people do find Saturn transits very, very difficult. But again, Saturn is trying to say, you know, what perspective do you want to look at? Are you finding this hard? Are you struggling because you're expecting a shortcut? Because you're expecting it to fall on your lap? Because you don't want to work hard, or you don't want to take responsibility, or you don't want to value the things that you have and your time and your priorities? So there's going to be a need to look at this, and again, this coincides with everything else that's going on at this time. And so Saturn's going to give you a chance now. From now it's going direct until it goes into Aries, which will be at the end of May next year. What are you going to change? What are you going to prioritize? What are you going to put dedication to? If you put that effort in, I will reward you, you know, and Saturn will do. And that's something that you're going to see. So this is going to be a time now, you know, are you going to pass the test and really take control of your life and bring the power back to you? But also, that is very important with Saturn, that sometimes we don't often think about is, yes, Saturn is about restricting us, and sometimes we feel it takes things away and it makes things very heavy for us. But Saturn wants to reward you. Saturn wants you to live a full life. So it's also asking you that, where have you created restriction in your own life? Okay, it's not Saturn just coming around taking it from you, but where are you at not allowing yourself to grow? What perspective do you have that stops you from being able to see something different, experience something different, attract in something different? So where are you being a slave to your own morals? Okay, that's another way to look at it. Where are you a slave to your own morals? And I'm not saying not to have morals, of course we do, but sometimes we don't realize that we get so stuck in a mindset and a perspective and a belief that we actually limit ourselves to experience all that there is in life. So moving forward now, what we can think about and hold in mind is, coming up to the eclipses in spring, you know, there's going to be some big shifts and changes, and what adjustments are we making in this time leading up to that? And, you know, where have you limited your growth? What have you changed? What are you valuing? What are you prioritizing? And most importantly, where now can you find that middle ground? So I hope this video has helped, and I hopefully will be back soon with another. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves, and I wish you all so much love.